G'day legends, welcome to another episode of Rucking Good. In this one I catch up with Jacqueline Alwill. Jacq is a TV host, a celebrity nutritionist, I guess you could call her, and she shares with me her struggles with eating disorders in the past, the struggles of setting up a business as a single mum, and also how she chased her dream to become a TV host of a national cooking show on free-to-air television. So awesome episode in an awesome location. Hope you enjoy. Your media is very focused around the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, do you find that a lot easier for you to be a presenter if you're busy? Like, because you're not really focusing on presenting, right? You're focusing on preparing and explaining what you're preparing.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's where it also comes naturally. And people get more excited by nutrition when they can see and experience that too. Because I bring energy to it, so. Because you can't stand in a kitchen and be like, this is how you do it. Like,
although I've watched some shows on SBS Food and they weren't very inspiring for me to go and cook.
Yeah, right. So I think that's sort of, the main thing is that sometimes nutrition for people can feel like a bit like, oh, I've got to take these steps and I've got to follow this. Whereas if you keep it colourful and inspiring and vibrant and energised, people have a much better experience with it, so they're more likely to be able to go and apply what they've learned.
Yes, yeah.
And they're not overwhelmed. They're just like, oh, I feel good. Like, that makes me feel good. I think I can do that.
I guess to circle back a little bit into how you got into nutrition and cooking to start with.
Yeah. So I would say the cooking piece is probably a good place to start, and it'll help understand the background. But I think there's always been a love of food in our family. Certainly growing up, my dad was really invested in delicious meals. Mum always cooked really healthy food. Dad cooked like more indulgent stuff. So I always had a good understanding of both sides of it. So there was always a good foundation there. But
So you had a good cross-section of tasty food and healthy food. And did they cross over, or were you eating healthy one day and then delicious the next?
Still aware. But Mum was definitely more focused on the healthy stuff. But Dad was very involved in our upbringing and our diet. Like, we talk about it lots of. It was Dad that was like putting some orange juice on the table every morning at 6 a.m. before he got us off to school. And so we had that good foundation. And that was when we were growing up in like Bilgola and Northern Beaches. Then we moved to Japan, and I moved there with my parents. My sisters are a bit older, so they stayed, finished off high school, and did their own thing.
With a family member, or?
No, well, they're 6 and 8 years older, so.
Right.
One was finished high school and was overseas, and my other sister was in boarding school.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I stayed in Japan with my parents for about 3 years, which has had a huge impact on my food influence as well.
Yeah. How old were you when you went over there?
I moved when I was like 10. So I had a really amazing experience there, but also huge change, to go from friendship groups home over to make new friends at that time. But then I think the hardest one was probably coming back. My parents stayed there for another year or so. I came back to boarding school.
Oh, okay.
And I really struggled to slot back in to Sydney and friendships, and sort of didn't have my old friends at the school because everyone had changed, and then I struggled to make new friends, and I was in a boarding school where it was at that time really like country focused, and I was not. So I was sort of on the outer, and there was some bullying, and unfortunately one of the boarding mistresses was bullying me too. So I took grip of a situation where I didn't feel like I had any control over what was going on around me. I was sort of in this forced situation of boarding school and feeling like really shit. And I took control by what I was doing with my eating.
Right.
And I started by one day sort of just going on a health kick, where I decided I'm not going to eat junk food for the next month.
Yep.
And it just kind of escalated.
And quickly?
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Is that, do you think because to start with, did you feel better? Like, you know, you're eating healthier, you know, you might have lost a few kilos, or like, was it a, I like the feel of this kind of thing that led to more of that, or?
There was probably that at the beginning, and also, no doubt, I think back to that time a lot, there was also this, well, I'm doing something that they're not, i.e. my peers.
Yes.
Like everyone was still eating junk food. It's
yeah.
like, well, I'm doing this, so at least I'm different in this way. Even though you're kind of pushing me into the ground in this way, I can still be my own person by what I'm doing with my food.
Yeah.
Which is really fucked, frankly. And it spiraled very quickly because it didn't just become about junk food anymore. It became about all food.
Just food in general.
And that feeling of control around food very quickly became starvation. And I, you know, with things like anorexia, when you're starving but your mind can overcome that sensation, it's a powerful thing in your head.
Yeah.
Which is the part that a lot of people don't understand with those sort of eating disorders, is that it's not just a physical thing with food of like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. It's not about being like fussy. It just becomes a huge mind game, and a very dark one. So
and is it almost where you're challenging yourself to see how long you can go before you eat, or?
Much, yeah, yep. So, you know, where at the beginning I thought I had control. You know, I thought I was in control of what went in and everything. In the end, it was the disease that controlled me completely. Right. Controlled my emotions, controlled my energy. It controlled everything for a long time, and there were definitely like, this view's pretty
yeah, let's
nice.
Have a look.
That was sort of mid to end of year 8, so I was like 13.
And was there anyone, like, were they too busy bullying that they didn't notice what was going on, or?
I think, honestly, when you're young like that, your peers don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah.
They really don't.
Particularly back then, like, as well, probably be a bit different now where everyone's diagnosed and...
not really, like, dealt with it in a sort of multi-pronged approach like we do now with eating disorders. So now you'd have GP, dietitian, psychologist. Back then it was just sort of like, okay, let's fumble through it, maybe take you to see a dietitian.
And did they do that for you?
No.
Was there even, I guess there would have been dietitians, but it would have been like not as readily accessible as what it is now.
Yeah, that's right, and probably not with the full holistic approach that we take now. There is a lot more support and networks to support people with eating disorders.
Yeah. Do you work in that space now?
I do, yeah, with clients. But once my parents came home from Japan, so that was in boarding school, once my parents came home from Japan, I started cooking, and that was probably, you know, that's also often a sign that the obsession with food is kicking in.
Yeah.
But I'd be cooking and baking, and my family couldn't quite keep up with it all.
Right.
So I'd like give it to friends and neighbours. That's how brown paper came about, because package it up in a brown paper bag and give it to people.
So you weren't actually consuming the stuff you were cooking?
Actually consuming it, yeah.
And do you think that was like another almost self-sabotage test, and that I can be around food and prepare it for others and still not eat it?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very common trait, sadly. But on the other side of it, I guess, you know, it gave me a foundation for what I understand of food and things now.
Yes, yeah.
You know, all of those things, they're not all, you can put a negative light on all of it if you want to, or you can pull it apart little bit by little bit and look at what the experience at least gave you for life. Like, now I can support other people. Now I have this amazing understanding of food, which started young and had a negative light for some period of it, but now it's very different.
Yeah, and it's all part of your life journey, right?
Totally, yeah.
You might have been an accountant if you didn't have those issues back then, right?
Well, I went into marketing, so my dad was a big ad guru, and I got through school.
Is that how you end up in Japan? Because of your dad working for...
Yeah, old school advertising.
Yep.
Expat gig. But yeah, I went through school and worked hard, got good marks, wanted to apply immediately for nutrition and dietetics, and my parents pushed me away from it, thinking it would be another manifestation of my eating disorder coming into light.
By that stage they'd already realised something was wrong and you started getting treatment and stuff?
So we tried multiple different psychologists and specialists with my disorder, which was both anorexia and bulimia.
Yep.
Bulimia can be really sneaky because you can appear, and so any disorder can be extremely sneaky because you can appear okay at times, but there's so much else going on if you're not given the right support and treatment.
Yeah.
Or find the right person, i.e. psychologist, to connect to so that you have the tools to deal with what's going on in your head.
So what's the difference between the two?
With
With anorexia and bulimia?
So anorexia is depriving your body of food.
Yep.
Bulimia, you'll still eat, but you're more prone to binging and purging and vomiting.
Okay, yes, I get you.
Yeah. Which is, not the nicest way to experience food, and certainly as a teen, but also sadly not uncommon, and not uncommon for women who haven't understood their relationship with food as they've been young, or men for that matter, and then continue this restriction into later life as a means of like trying to fill an emotional void almost. Like often things that have happened that are traumatic in your childhood or your teen years, people will use food.
Yes.
Whether it's overeating or undereating, food seems to be a weapon of choice.
And I always say, like, food issues are so hard because you have to eat.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to take heroin.
Yeah.
You don't have to smoke, you don't have to drink. But if you're struggling with a relationship with food, you have to eat. So it's not like something you can just go full cold turkey detox on.
No.
Because that's not how we work as humans. So I'm always very sympathetic to people that struggle with food disorders.
Yeah.
Whether it's, your way or my way.
Yes. Yeah.
Under or over.
Yeah.
Because like it's a constant, every few hours you have to think about it.
That's right.
So, and I think that would be challenging for therapists as well, right? Like,
definitely.
It's not like you're trying to just get them to not think about it, or, to become a secondary thing versus consuming all your thoughts, because you still need to think about what your nutrition looks like in a day, or
that's it.
Hitting your macros so you stay alive.
Yeah. I think the best sign that someone has moved through and is on the other side of an eating disorder is when you're not obsessively thinking about food all day.
Yeah.
Because, as you said at the beginning, like, you got a taste for it, sort of hyper palatable foods, and it takes over how you think. It can take over your day.
Probably good to sort of transition into getting healthy and continuing on with the food journey.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest, my eating disorder sort of, what's the right word for it, burdened me for probably the good part of 15 years.
So this gets you to what age?
About 26.
Yep.
When I fell pregnant unplanned with my son Jet, and that was a real eye-opener, right? Because you can't be doing shitty stuff to your body when you're pregnant. You can't not be feeding it. So it was a real experience of like, okay, so I'm responsible for something else now, and for a long time, because I'd lost my periods for such an incredible amount of my teenage years.
And is that why it was a shock to fall pregnant? Because your cycle was so messed up?
Yeah, one of the scare factors that the doctors sort of tried to drill into me, but I wouldn't listen at that time, was if you keep this up, your chance of having children will be affected because you'll experience infertility. And if you're not nourishing well in advance of trying to have a baby, then your chances of fertility are much poorer. But I'd transitioned away from like anorexia, bulimia. I was still obsessed by food and exercise. So we call that orthorexia.
Oh, right.
And when I fell pregnant with Jetty, everything shifted for me. I didn't want to be the mum that was obsessing over her food on her plate or exercising so hard that she had no energy left for her kids. The real like awakening of this is just not the person I want to be. Who can I be that's different? Who can I be that's a better role model? What sort of role model do I want to be for my kids? Do I want to impart this kind of disorder onto my kids as well? Because it'll happen, because it's modelling, right? And so falling pregnant with him really started like the other side of the true healing of it all, and it took time. But having Jet was the best thing that happened to me because it gave me a final resolve on something that had like haunted me since I was 13.
Yeah,
and
right.
I could truly move
Holy,
on from
that's
that.
a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And during your 20s, was it as bad as in your teens, or was it something that had kind of go a bit idle and then come back again, but you never could quite shake?
Yes, because I didn't ever find a psychologist that I fully trusted in my teens. So whenever things emotionally or any kind of thing popped up in my 20s, maybe it was a breakup or not feeling good about something in work or anything else, I'd use food as the means to take control over a situation where I didn't feel like I had enough control.
Yeah, right.
So even when like I went to Italy as part of uni in my early 20s, and I was like devastatingly missing my boyfriend back home, so I stopped eating in fucking Italy, mate. Like,
of all the places in the world you do want to keep eating,
like,
is Italy.
I think back to that now, it's like, oh my God, like, you idiot. Yeah. And that's what it does to you, like. So
something would trigger you.
That's the mind that is so much stronger.
Yeah.
And why it is a mental health disease, not a physical disease, you know.
Yeah, right.
Because the mind is powerful like that.
So when you left boarding school, did you go to uni?
I left boarding school. My parents came back from Japan, so I left boarding school in year 9. I had a year in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And thank goodness, because if it had gone, beyond a year, I don't know where things would have been far worse. Finished school, wanted to do nutrition, dietetics immediately, and Mum and Dad pushed me away from it, thinking it would be a negative.
And what did they push you into?
I did arts commerce at uni. Right. That's what took me over to Italy. It was arts and international studies.
Oh, cool.
And I tried to follow my dad's footsteps in ad and marketing world.
Yep.
Finished up and was working in a media company. Just felt like I was selling my soul to the devil. Doing like things that I just wasn't passionate about.
No, and then you've got to try to get passionate about, because how do you sell something you don't believe in?
That's it. But
AKA
not to
cigarette advertising on grass signs.
Yeah. Yep. But as you would well know, like, all of those experience build into your next part of your career or your business or whatever else it is. So I don't dismiss any of that time as not being a really critical time to learn, because I use all of my marketing planning and everything in a business
I run now. Right, yeah.
Day by day. One of the hardest things to do when you have a business is market yourself. Like, people just don't back themselves in the way that they should.
It's not the same now. Like, I think social media is kind of like, kids are used to doing this stuff, having a camera in their face, taking the selfies and doing all that sort of stuff, where no one would have done it back in the day.
Nah.
Like, Facebook and Instagram couldn't have existed in the 70s and 80s, you know?
Nah. Be egotistical, right? Or narcissistic.
You're a wanker.
I mean, there's still,
Look at this wanker, taking a photo of himself.
What a tool.
He's walking with a stick and some kind of camera on it. What is that?
That's so true.
But now you've got to have a successful brand as a founder, you've almost got to have your own personal brand attached to it. Yeah. To be uber successful. Like, you look at what Kardashians and you know, who's another one? Mr. Beast, I guess, is a good example of that. Like, build your personal brand and then you can sell 6 million chocolate bars.
That's it. That's it.
So you got out of marketing, like when did Brown Paper start organically from doing media while you might have been working somewhere else? Or like, how did that all get started?
I actually just got like shut shop on media. I was sort of in there and people were always asking about diet and exercise and can I do this and can you help me get healthier? And I was like, this is a calling, surely.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And I had a good chat with my parents because I wanted them to know that it was going to be okay. And
ask if you could use the spare room if it wasn't.
That's it. And I studied to be a personal trainer so that I could support my studies in nutrition, and then worked as a PT while studying nutrition, worked multiple other jobs to make it all happen too.
Yeah.
And shortly before I was about to finish my studies, I fell pregnant with Jacq. So I had him finish my studies, went back into like working in, I guess, being a brand manager for a little bit.
For a brand specifically or for an agency?
For an agency, I was a single mum, and so I just needed to make sure that I had something just to keep us going.
Yep.
But on the side at that point, that's when I started cooking really wholesome treats. I decided to start sharing recipes on a Facebook page.
Yep. So that was filming yourself, like on your phone?
It wasn't filming,
sort of
it was all photography then. Remember those, and those really bad filters?
Yes.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, nice.
Thinking that your photography was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was terrible, but my food tasted good.
Yep.
And I sold it into, these are like healthy muffins.
So you were doing media around, like you were putting the recipes on Facebook,
yep,
taking photos of the process and the finished product.
Yep.
And then you were also selling the finished product as well? Into
health food stores and cafes.
Oh, cool.
And then I set up a market stall with another mate at Bondi Markets on a Saturday, and that was like my intro into the community.
And live feedback.
Food and real feedback from real people. I love
markets for early entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And also there's nothing, like I think this is where these days things can be really lost in social media. Whilst you think you're connecting, there is nothing quite like
face-to-face interaction,
connection. And I'm definitely one of those people that, especially because I work for myself and I'm juggling family life, I really crave the human connection piece.
And what better way to do it over a meal?
I know.
Right?
A meal or a walk, as I was saying earlier as well these days. It's like whenever possible, if I can get someone to come on a walking meeting, I'll do that.
Nice.
So, yeah, but the market was incredible for that. And that actually introduced me into not only like the food and hospitality landscape at that time, because I started a catering business off the back of that, which went really well, and it was one of the first like healthy catering businesses in Sydney.
Which around Bondi and Sydney would be well...
It went,
Was it more corporates you were doing that for?
We did such a range of different events because there wasn't many people offering it, right? So on one end of it, we'd have like high fashion, like Gucci and Celine booking us.
Oh, nice.
And then on the other end, we'd be doing like people's home
like
bar mitzvahs and parties and all those sorts of things. It was really cool.
And how was that sort of built off having the market stall and talking to people face to face?
Yep.
And did you set a website? Did that have like a website?
It was still my Facebook for a while.
Okay.
And then I finally got my website off the ground. And
did you have like a bricks and mortar kitchen, or were you just cooking from home, like doing your prep?
Yeah, I cooked from home for years.
Yeah, right.
And you wouldn't be able to do that now as much.
No.
There's a lot more food regs around these days. This is like 15 plus years ago, right? So very different then.
Who's your son's name? Jacq?
Jacq.
Be like, Jacq, get your hands out of there. Let's go to someone's party.
The thing is, he'd be sleeping because he was little, and I'd be getting up at like 4 to get a breakfast order out the door for 7.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, being a single parent, that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't chuff off to a kitchen early hours of the morning because I had a child to look after. So I had to be able to make it work for my situation at the time.
And at some point, did the catering sort of take over the markets and the retail sort of offering?
Yeah, it did. It really did. And I also got good airtime from, speaking as a nutritionist as I went along as well, and having the confidence, and met a lot of people at the markets that, we're in magazines, we're in digital.
So you almost become like an authority figure in nutrition.
Yep.
Awesome.
It was good. And that's what, again, like speaking to people face to face, at least they know who you are, they've met you, they know what you're about, and they're happy for you to be representing what they like.
Yeah.
In terms of if you're writing for their mag or jumping on TV and doing segments.
Yep. Speaking
about X.
Yeah, well, it's the ultimate PR, isn't it?
Yep.
Particularly when you're getting invited to, being in Bondi and in and around Sydney would have been a good positioning play, being that a lot of the PR and stuff comes out of there.
Yeah, and the industry was very different back then too, right? Like, it was not like it is now. There's a few trails around here that have been closed down recently. I'm not sure why.
I'm guessing that gear must be to finish that path off or something.
That one used to be open. That gate's pretty fresh. So there are some not caves, but tunnely things.
Oh, okay.
Down through there. So
like war, I would say, wouldn't it?
There might be a little bit. I'm not sure about the history. I'm not sorry.
She can tell you the history of food.
Go home,
Jeez.
This is for the History Channel.
She was great. Move on.
So at what point did the media stuff start overtaking the catering stuff?
Do you know, it wasn't a point of like, oh, this is overtaking. It just hit a point with catering, and interestingly, just before COVID hit was when I decided to shut shop on that.
Yep.
But I'd met, after many years of being a single parent, I met my beautiful partner Al again, because we'd actually met when I was in the media agency.
Oh, okay.
Worked
together?
10 years prior. We'd worked together. I always thought he was gorgeous. But we'd done our separate things, and we reconnected as friends, and then, fell in love, and a few years into it, we're speaking about family and things and how we could make it happen. And I mean, anyone who's been in hospitality would know how stressful hospitality can be.
Yes.
And for me, it was, do we keep pushing this, and then I'll probably be so stressed and not be able to fall pregnant, or not have time for family.
So keep pushing the catering business, you mean?
And I was at that point, I was wanting to do, I'd started a delivery side of it, in terms of like meals, things as well.
Like home delivery for people?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it was super stressful.
Yeah.
Like, my body, I burnt out, my body was starting to fall apart, and I took a good hard look at myself and was like, wow, not really picture of health, are we?
At that point, did you ever, like, just scratching my own itch question here, when you got to the point of burnout and that sort of stuff, did you ever lean back in to the eating issue thing? Like, did you ever feel like you might be a chance of falling back in, or once you had Jet, that was it? You were kind of...
that was it.
Yeah,
I was on the other side. That was just a real awakening, I think, because
that's
from going to feeling like incredible to feeling so burnt out, like everything was happening, I was sort of that hadn't really happened. Like,
had Jet started school at this point?
He was in primary school.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And that
so you're juggling a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And to want to have a bigger family while still thinking that you could keep up with that, for me was like, I can't have it all.
Yeah.
So what do I need to fit into this time frame before I am, inching towards the later part of my 30s, when it does become much harder, or early 40s, when it does become much harder to fall pregnant.
Yeah.
Just your body's not primed in the same way. So for me, that was sort of the answer. It was, life is not all about work.
Yes. Yeah.
If I want to have the family and I want to have my health, ultimately, first and foremost, in order to have the family, then I need to look after it.
Yeah.
And this wasn't, I couldn't sustain what was happening. And then COVID hit, right? And
There's another godsend, right?
was like, well, I couldn't have
No
sustained
catering
it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, the event business died, especially for small guys like I was.
Yep.
It just would have been...
There was just nothing going on.
Nah.
And so is that where you kind of doubled down on the media side of things?
Yeah,
Because you had lots of spare time. Funny about COVID, right? I said I've always, not in an official capacity, but I've always been...
Cool, dude.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
Come on. You're really confident, aren't you, mate?
No, he's like, I'll race you. I'll race you.
Come on.
You really like that sport.
Keep going.
Go,
Come on, step on you.
Go. Yeah, there you go.
Good boy.
I've always done business consulting for people, usually on a pro bono basis.
Yeah.
And I was saying to everybody that I'd ever mentored or given advice to, I'm like, they're talking about COVID and talking about their business and how, the world's going to end. And I'm like, this is the one chance that you're probably ever going to have in your entrepreneurial life.
Yeah.
Where you'll just have unlimited time to work on your business.
Yes.
And I'm like, so if you need to paint that thing, I said, stand out the front of, if you've got bricks and mortar, stand out the front of your shop, see what the customer sees.
Yeah.
Redesign logos, do your website.
Yeah.
Set up a marketing plan for the next 20 freaking years.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting at home and you can't do anything.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm like, and if you're focusing on the positives of when business gets back on, it's going to also hopefully take away a bit of that cortisol that they're experiencing about, my business is never going to be open again. And then ironically, COVID basically blows up every business.
Yeah.
And then these guys all weren't really prepared for being able to maximize the opportunity that was coming, because they just sat there feeling sorry for themselves while COVID was on,
Yeah.
But that was one of those opportunities where you just had unlimited time, which as an entrepreneur just never happens.
No, it doesn't.
Never, ever happens.
And it hasn't happened much since.
So all those people, and you know who you are.
Yeah.
But even I had one girl who had a female CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
And my wife used to go there, and she's like, oh God, I hope Chelsea uses this opportunity to repaint the gym, because it hadn't been repainted forever. And months the way she couldn't be open and didn't do anything.
Oh, shame.
No big spring clean, no paint, no.
Yeah.
So, but you can take that out, Tommy. Seeing her named and shamed. Chelsea.
Good to finish it. Yeah, look, I loved my catering years. I got a lot out of it, but I'm also glad that I'm not trying to juggle it now. Like, I have 3 kids now, and I've got 2 that are quite young.
Yep.
And I just want to enjoy my time with my kids while they are little.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Jacq's like 15, right?
Oh, wow.
And the 2 girls are 5, and 3.5.
Ooh.
So we've got these 2 ends of the spectrum of age and energy
yes.
in the house, where I've got a teenager that's really moving away from being dependent. Well, they are really independent.
Yep.
But you're, as a mum especially, you're like, please come back.
Yeah.
Just need the cuddle.
I need mum time.
And then I've got these 2 little ones that are super dependent.
Yes.
That I'm exhausted by. So it's really an intense amount of differing energy in one household.
Yeah.
And I think the most reflection I've had on that recently is what can I be doing now that just helps me enjoy being a mother at this point in my life, because I feel like
that's the number one priority.
He's going to be finished school in a hot second, and then that's, what do they say? It's like a statistic, you'll spend 98% of the time with your kids in those first 18 years.
Yeah.
And then the 2% is the rest of your life. Think about that a lot, whether it's out of whack, I don't know, but I don't care. It's a reality check of just make the most of this time now, because once they leave the nest, it's just not the same. So I guess for me, in this point in my life and career, is I'll do the things I love. I really love doing the media work. I love doing TV, and I love being in front of people and presenting these, ideas and, nutrition science and food and all of these things that help people understand how to be a better version of themselves and understand their health in a different way.
Yeah.
But I want to do it in the light of being present with my family and my kids and enjoying
Which the media kind of allows you to do that if you're doing most of the stuff at your kitchen at home, right?
That's it, yeah, and consulting from home and things too.
So during COVID, you moved from like photos, recipes with Facebook, or did that sort of go away a little bit when the catering
I'd had my website and everything up for a while then.
Okay.
And COVID, where I had Elkie my second, couple of weeks before that first wave of COVID hit.
Yep.
So, I mean, we were, you're isolated as an early, when you've got a little newborn as it is, because you're just in the newborn bubble.
Yes.
And then COVID hit, and then Amy we had 17 months later, so we really just hit hard and fast on the next two.
Yep. And was there, like, there was quite, because you got together with while Jet was in primary?
Yeah, I think
so. You waited a long while before you had kids again? Was that by design, or did you struggle?
No, it's just how life played out, really. So,
too busy bloody catering.
Yeah, that's it. Elkie and Jet are 10 years apart. Al and I would have had Elkie 4 years into our relationship, and then Amy 5. Yeah, so there's a 10 and 11 year age gap between my girls and Jet. And that's just how, it's not the perfect cookie, but it's just how it crumbled.
Yeah, right.
I'm just
are we doing a loop?
We are, yeah.
Cool.
We'll go back around.
Excellent.
Yeah. No, I'm just walking with you for
No, I just wasn't, because sometimes I'll be with someone who I'm assuming that they know where we're going.
Creep in and be like a fly on the wall to my
Well, I didn't know.
Woman crush.
If I knew that you wanted to go to that seminar, I would have done something to get you the tickets. I didn't notice till after I announced it that I was looking, and I'm like,
I tagged it for my girlfriend more than anyone.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not a competition pig, don't worry.
No. But I'm like, I'm going to see you the day before.
Yeah.
And I had these tickets, and I was like, because
awesome.
I would have just done a giveaway with 2 tickets and given you 2.
Oh, thanks. That's okay. No.
I'd already announced to the people that won it that they'd won, so I was like, oh shit. Maybe I'll get back to them and say, can I get 2 of them back?
Yeah.
But when does Brown, so COVID hits, you start doing a lot more media from home?
I did a lot more from home, so I wrote for magazines a lot, did a lot of recipe creation for mags.
Were you consulting for people at that point too?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep. I had a lot of
so a lot of your home delivery people, you could have then started like teaching them what to cook? Is that?
I guess so. I guess a lot of, the beauty of having a presence on social media is the fact that people understand what you're about. Then they'll order your product if you have a product. It's just all.
It's like a circular economy.
Yeah. So when I closed down all of the delivery and catering, people still knew that they had someone whose methodology and food and nutrition they had trust in, and that's ultimately like all things, cycling back to things like talking about psychology, you just got to have trust.
Yeah.
You can tell when people are selling bullshit.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a lot of bullshit artists around these days.
Well, especially social media has created a whole, man, in your realm, holy dooly. If I have one more person telling me how to eat, or that something I eat's bad for me, or like, because you can find a positive and a negative opinion on everything.
That's it. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So we can probably walk through this grass bit rather than the road, which is nicer. And then it'll loop us, it'll bring us up to the top of South Maroubra, where you'll see the rifle range.
Awesome.
And then just drops us back down to the car park.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That'd be good for whale watching, I'm assuming. That section there when they're running.
Actually the northern end of Maroubra is really beautiful. It's got this big rock face that you can sit out on, and watching the whales from there is incredible.
Yeah, right.
We're very lucky like that.
So COVID, you're producing media while you've got nothing else to do and everybody else has got nothing to do. So I'm guessing...
I've got 2 young babies, so...
Oh yeah, well outside of keeping them alive. But
that was actually the time though, like it was in between Elkie and Amelie when I'd done some work with a brand, Mount Elephant, to help get their products into sort of mass media. I'd done some TV segments, and I'd sat on this idea during COVID of like, people have always loved my whole food treats. No, they're not like band of sugar or anything. Like, I use coconut sugar, it's still a sugar, what have you, but they're still whole foods. They're built on things like
it's just not
chickpeas and almonds
crap.
and it's not processed crap.
Yeah.
And I'd always had this.
Were they like a ball or a bar?
No, so like cookies and brownies and cakes and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that stuff is what I started selling. It's what went well in the catering business. I was sort of using all of that past experience and knowing and understanding of and seeing people's reactions. That was the beauty of catering, right? You could physically see people's response to delicious food that was also healthy.
Yep.
And get a good read on things.
And that's what you started teaching other people to do. So I remember it was like
actually just around here where we walked past.
Yeah.
And I was just like walking, you know, because your brain is just, my brain's really active when I exercise.
Yes.
So much blood flow. And I was like, I'm so sure that things could be better in the more whole food treat world, in the major supermarkets. There's not people doing it. How can I do it? Can I develop like a treat that makes people feel good, that they know is a bit better for them than the other shit that they're picking up on the shelf? You know, that's organic to me in this moment because, you know, I'm a mum, I'm trying to feed my kids, speaking to other mums, I'm like, you know, I've had this sort of full circle time with my own eating and knowing that all food can be consumed, you know, in moderation and in different ways. There's not negative or like, all of these things were sort of all coming together, and I was like, I'm so sure I can put together a range of healthier baking and get it on shelf. I'm so sure of this. And I spoke to girlfriends, I was like, what do you think? What are your favourite flavours? And I got their feedback, and I was like, what if you could just whip it together in like 15 minutes before a play date? What do you reckon about that? And they're like, awesome, would love it, buy it in a heartbeat. And I'd done this like media work. We did Studio 10 or something for Mount Elephant, and at the end of it, their marketing manager's like, oh, it's so lovely to work with you. We'd love to keep working with you at some point. And I said, what about, like we're mid-pack up, middle of the studio. I was like, what about a range of healthier like bake mixes? And they're like, sorry, what? I said, well, why not? And you know, within a couple of weeks, we're having more chats with them. And now I've got a range of 8 beautiful whole food bake mixes sitting on shelf.
Oh, under their brand?
Under their brand, so I'm contracted. It's all my recipes.
Yeah. How cool is that?
You'll see me on the side of the box.
Ah, I'm going to go look now.
I've got some for you in the car.
Oh, yes.
But that was, you know, one of those moments, and also just honouring that at that point in my life, with one young child, one older child, and then another one on the way, I didn't need to go and start my own manufacturing business.
Right, finding a contract manufacturer, all that,
I wanted to bring this to life, but I didn't have to do it all by myself. And I think, especially women, and I sort of was brought up in a system where it was like, women can do anything and everything. It's like, yes, you can, but it doesn't mean that you should.
No, that's right.
at the
more's not always better.
Yeah, like sometimes it's good just to do enough and to still get out there and get out what you want to do, but you don't have to take on absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So
mum's strength is real, but there's limitations.
Yeah. Like imagine having a 1-year-old, being pregnant, and starting, like, for me, starting a whole new business amongst all of that, it was just like...
Yeah, and these guys probably had a good distribution network anyway.
They had relationships.
Yeah.
They're a wonderful team to work with.
Yeah. And financially, like, you would have given up a bit versus doing it yourself, but
totally.
If it still makes sense...
And puts huge risk on the table if you do it.
Oh, for sure. That's awesome.
So it's really beautiful to see that, and every day I get feedback from people, and people see it on shelf or they're baking it, and they're just... It is like, whilst it's small, it's also a beautiful problem solve for a lot of people who are like, I just want to do that little bit better.
Yeah.
I still want to eat my treat.
Do you get feedback from that?
Yeah.
They pass that on?
All the time.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
And then,
this way.
how do we get from that deal to then being on a TV show?
So Good Chef, Bad Chef, I looked at for, I don't know, 20 years ago, I reckon. I started looking at that show and was like, I'm going to have that job one day.
Ah.
Yeah.
So it's been around that long?
Good Chef Bad Chef's been on air, okay, I might be lying by 20 years, but it feels like 20 years. I think we're in season 17 now.
Wow.
So it
Always
was
on the same
originally,
network?
always on 10, I think. It was originally Janella Purcell and Gary Meehan.
Gary Meehan ended up being MasterChef.
Yeah,
right.
So it was originally Janella, who was one of the original like whole food nutritionists who taught nutrition through recipes as opposed to
she's still
dictating.
around?
She is.
Doing media?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. And it's had a few different good chefs along the way, a few different bad chefs that have come in.
Yeah.
And I had my eye on that one for so long. I sat when I was at with my colleagues at the end of study. I said, I'm going to have a segment on TV and I'm going to teach people about their health and nutrition in a really inspiring way, all through food.
Yeah.
Because you only pick up so much when you've got 3 minutes or 5 minutes to listen to someone. You can't take it all on board, but you can pick up a few key points. And if you can do it through something where you walk away and go, fuck, that looks really yummy, but it's also good for me.
Yeah. I
can do that. Like, you just need to empower people.
Yeah.
And the beauty of food is that you can give that to people within minutes. That was my Good Chef Bad Chef was my definitely one of my manifestation type roles in here, where I looked at the presenter on the time, and everyone, my time at some point will come to a close, as does all things, but hopefully not in the near future. So I'm loving it.
What's your role within are you a good chef?
I'm a good chef.
Excellent.
Yeah, so.
And good as in good food?
I'm the nutritionist, so I bring, the show's great, right? Yeah. Because we present within each episode a more indulgent meal. Yeah,
which is the bad chef.
So we have a theme, right? So maybe the theme is like creative curries, and the bad chef, so they're my mates Tim Bone and Mike Reed. Amazing dudes, so much fun and so creative, so I learn every time I'm on set with them. But they come in with a more indulgent recipe. They'll use like
6 pounds
tons
of
more salt, lots of butter, all the sugar, all the things, and they'll create their recipe according to the theme in that way. So you've got an indulgent piece. And then we'll come in and do like a healthier take on what we want to present for that theme, so that people can understand you can have both in life.
Yes.
It's just about striking the right balance.
Yeah.
That's the most critical thing. And we have so much fun doing it because we're all like working towards the same thing, which is just to inspire people through food.
Yeah.
And
do you film that in one big block the whole season?
Yeah, so that kicks off in October, finishes just before Christmas. We each produce around, I think like 50 or 60 recipes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's 5 days a week. It's about to kick off again mid-March.
Oh, so you don't do any pre-prep with the recipe stuff until that time?
So we have to...
you probably have to wait till the producers tell you.
Yeah, we go through the themes.
Yep.
There's obviously brands that get involved in the business, in the show, so we need to consider them and their ingredients, which are important to bring a show to life like that.
Very much so, branded content.
Yes. And then it's sort of go time. And it's like you film a block down in Melbourne for a week, you come back and produce another 30 recipes in between or 20 recipes in between.
Yeah.
Go back again, do another 4-day block.
Yep.
But it's lots of fun.
And how many episodes can you bang out in a day?
4.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So is that a season? No. Is it a season in one block? Is that 16 episodes?
Well, the season runs March to June. 5 days a week, so what's that?
Oh, so it's it's a different episode every day?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of content.
It's a lot, but it's great fun.
Do you struggle finding that many recipes, or is it pretty second nature for you that you just go bam, 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 bam? And
I think I enjoy the creative side of recipe creation so much because everyone needs a creative outlet.
Yeah.
I really found that with food. And, circling back, like whilst it wasn't a positive thing in my early years, being a teenager and cooking and obsessing over food, I learnt some really important things in that time with regard to like methods and foundations of things like baking or cooking, or things that can be missed unless you go through that process of learning, or you're a really intuitive chef. But so that really, it's like eating a lot, but it's an incredible creative outlet, which then you're able to speak about the nutrition in it. And the beautiful thing about having the boys doing their indulgent recipes is you're able to throw in your nutrition piece to how you could bring a bit more nutrition to that too.
Yeah.
Like Tim always says to me, I think you girls, the good chefs, have the harder job.
Who's with you?
So we mix it up.
Oh, okay.
I'll be with Tim Bone for an episode.
Oh, right.
And then next step.
So it's not 2 good chefs versus 2 bad chefs?
No, so 2 good chefs, so myself and Dr. Joanna McMillan. And then the 2 bad chefs are Tim Bone and Mike Reed.
Right, and then you just mix it up each episode. Yeah, cool. So it's the good episode in that food group is just your recipe. That's your come out of.
So we do a recipe each in the main part of the show.
Yep.
And then there's a little 5 or 6 minute segment at the end where it's just one person presenting one recipe.
And that's usually around the branded content partner of the day?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But we're very creative with all of the things that we do.
It'll be so much fun.
It is so much fun.
And is that the network producing that, or is that done through
That's done through a production company, H Squared. Yeah. So we got to that, but we never got to how you visualised being on that show. Oh, right.
We missed that part on how you got on it.
You just got to keep chipping away at it, I think. I think if you lose sight of what you want, people will pick up on that. You just keep sort of moving in the same direction that you want to go and keep networking and expanding what you do in terms of how you present things and do things a little differently, but not without losing people's trust, then in the end people find you that are meant to.
Yeah, right.
And that's sort of what happened with
And you won't like cold calling the producers' emails going, hey,
no, not at all. Like
that's
one of my
amazing.
first segments on TV, I landed myself on the project. And it was because, this is like super early days too.
When project was good.
Carrie, ouch. Won't include that either.
Sorry, Channel 10. Yeah, no, I want to put a show on
the show's on Channel 10, you can't say that. But I made an outspoken remark about a piece of advertising that was related to coffee, but it was also, they'd included the kid from Modern Family or something that was like that little kid that was...
Yeah, the funny little kid.
Yeah, and I didn't see that. I just saw a kid advertising coffee. I was like, this is a bit dumb. Like, why are we doing this? Surely there's another way we can advertise coffee. We don't need to use children to promote an adult's product.
Yeah.
And Carrie Bickmore from the show saw it and said, come and have a chat about this, because I think it's important.
Oh, so you just commented on that on your socials?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they found it on that when they were doing their let's scrape the internet for things to talk about on our show. Yeah,
but again, this was like 15 years ago when it just was not as saturated, so your content was more seen.
Yes,
as such.
Yeah.
And I did a few segments on the project, and then everything just continued progressing, and I love TV work.
Did you do any media training prior to that? Or?
Not really.
No,
like I think, honestly, that experience in corporate world in media marketing and having to stand and present.
You can almost reverse engineer it from there, yeah?
Yeah, and I think when you're passionate about something, it just is easier to talk about it.
Yeah.
And when you have good people to talk to, it makes it easier again.
Oh, that's the shooting range?
Yeah, that's a rifle range.
What?
Sides as well.
Yeah.
What are they, snipers? Training to hit
it's a pretty
something
cool walk when you go.
meters.
So dogs can go off leash through there, and it's pretty good fun for. Yeah, it's pretty full on Saturday. I remember
Gives you
walking
moving
past.
Targets.
And when we first came in, it's like these little pops.
Yeah,
Almost sounds like frogs.
It's not super loud.
No, it's like.
It's not like when you're in Vietnam and you're at the tunnels and they're using those bloody AK-47s.
Not quite like that. But it's quite cool, yeah.
That's a good view from there.
I remember walking through here for the first time. I was like, what is that? So
Is it part of it? It's a private range, or
yeah,
is it
you have to obviously have a license. You can't just rock in and hire a rifle for the day.
Hey, I just went to what do they call it? Walmart and bought myself a semi-automatic pistol. I want to let go.
Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah. No, I like our gun laws exactly how they are.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you thought 8 years and years and years and years ago that you wanted to be on that show, and you ended up on that show.
Yeah. I've just sort of finished studying, or quite young, finishing like high school, like, oh, I want to do this stuff. I was like, well, be prepared to work for free and go and offer yourself for free to people to show that you're committed and that your time is your offering, because it speaks, like, it's huge. If you're able to offer yourself in that way, then it'll come back to you. You can't underestimate that. And I did a lot of that in those early days of media, of just continuing to get out there, to get my face out there, to get my brand out there, to get my
recipes,
my education to people, to my recipes, and then things, they keep going in the right direction for you.
Yeah, you almost build a funnel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's always hard building the top of that funnel, because like you said, it's heaps of time, heaps of effort, heaps of energy, bugger all reward.
Yeah, well, it feels like bugger all reward at the time.
Yeah, but you're building...
then when finally things come to fruition, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Took a decade, but we're there. But I think there's a lot of people that similarly, I've seen a few stories recently where people are really acknowledging that time now as founders or as business owners. Like the girls at Pure Pops, that incredible fresh icy pole range, right?
Yeah.
We were at the Bondi markets together. I saw them recently. They just put their first set of like billboard advertising out on the streets.
Though, right? Everyone will go, look at these guys.
They acknowledge that it's taken them 10 years to do that. But their brand is stocked in all these great kiosks all over, certainly New South Wales. I don't know about other states, and they've done such wonderful things, but they're really acknowledging, this, it's not like we could do billboards in the second year of business.
Yeah.
It's taken us 10 years to do it, but we've done it.
Yeah.
This is super cool. This is like a big moment for us. Or, another female founder is the girl at Mingle who does the No Nasties sprinkles and recipe bases.
Yep.
Acknowledging, she shared some photos the other day of the original headquarters, and her dad had drawn the Spice HQ sign and stuck it up on the wall.
Oh, nice.
They'd only just recently got signage for their office, and that was again like a moment of acknowledgement of this might seem small to some people, but you have to acknowledge even the small things that you tick in business, and especially on the journey through it, because they're actually the big things. The end point is not the big thing. It's the journey and all the little things that you hit along the way that are so worth celebrating, because you know how hard it has been, what amount of work you've put in to get there.
Yeah. And
people don't see that, right, unless you show it. So it's important to show and speak about where you came from, because then people understand. It's like, oh, you didn't just like walk in one day on a TV set and go, here I am.
Yeah.
I'm auditioning.
And it's part of your brand, like it's your personal brand building too, right? It's the story behind it, it's the storytelling, and that's what I try to convey to a lot of our clients, where they want to build their personal brand, and I'm like, you got to share the story as you're doing it.
Exactly.
And it's uncomfortable at times. Like, super uncomfortable. You got to share the shit times as much as the good times.
That's it.
Because no one wants to see someone who just celebrates wins all the time.
No.
Like, everybody has. If business was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
So I love it when these little brands have wins. But on that, do you obviously have a creative and an entrepreneurial flair. Do you still, like when you see these, what were they called, Cool Pops?
Pure Pops.
Pure Pops.
Yeah.
When you see stories like that, do you have like ever little inklings to go, oh, maybe there's something that I want to release back into like a brand or 100%. A product?
I'm still sitting with that.
Yeah. Do you think that will ever come to fruition?
Yeah, it will.
Awesome.
It will, when my little girls are just a little bit older.
Yep.
And when there's less broken sleep. Though I do hear from parents, even of older kids, that you'll still sleep with one eye open even in their teens and 20s, because you're waiting for them to get home.
Mine are 16 and 14. It's like...
But yeah, I don't need another full-time baby right now. I just want to take care of what I have.
Yeah.
And be happy with what I have. Like,
Yeah.
You know.
Well, sounds like you are.
I am. I'm working on it. I'm definitely a work in progress.
So what's the next few years like? Maybe a product development thing might be 5-10 years down the road, or you think maybe 3 to 5?
I would say 5.
5,
I think I want to get Jetty through high school.
Yep.
Make our move somewhere else.
Yep.
Get our girls
more space.
Separated, not separated. Get our girls settled.
Settled. Yes.
Yeah. Into school, and at that point, I think that's my time. You know, I read a cool quote the other day that the first 40 years is just like a warm-up.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I do believe that. You know, I'm turning 42 in a week, and I do believe that a lot happens when you hit 40. There just seems to be this cool moment of going, I don't have enough fucks to give about everything. So I'm just going to focus my fucks on the things that I really want.
Yeah.
And not let the riffraff get in
the distractions.
Get in the way.
Yep.
And I'll do things that feel really good in my heart and my head. I won't ignore what's going on in my heart. Yep. For the sake of ego, which I think you can get a little bit more wrapped in when you're younger.
Yeah, for sure.
And I really, you know, I definitely am someone that battles with anxiety and tries to sort of dissect what that means at that time. And for me right now, whenever that comes up, I'm sort of, I pull it apart in ways that's like, okay, how can I bring myself back into being present, and what's going to make me happiest now?
Does the dissecting help with the anxiety? Or?
Yeah, it does, because you have to understand the pieces.
Yeah.
For me, yeah. I think I need to understand the pieces of it.
Yeah.
In order to.
You don't just need to breathe.
I do. I breathe so much.
Dino Gladstone, who I did a potty with at Bondi, from Bondi Rescue, he's right into his breath work.
Yeah.
And he taught me a few things, and at the time there was some stuff going down with a business associate that I was going to go into business with, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But I was finding going back into some old anxiety habits.
Yep.
And he just showed me a couple of breathing techniques, man, golden. Because if I try to analyse what's going on to try to fix it, I always make it worse, because I end up overthinking more.
Yeah. And that's very easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pull it apart in a way that it's just like, what can I just be focusing on now? Like, stop worrying about all the other things in that part of life, and what can I just do now to feel good in this moment?
Nice. Well, that's a good point to wrap, because we're at our car.
We are.
Did you enjoy that?
It was fun.
Excellent.
Really good.
All right, there's another Rucking Good episode in the books. Hopefully you liked it, and if you did, feel free to share it around and throw us a like and subscribe if you so wish to. If you would like to see or be a guest on Rucking Good, please drop me an email to team@rucksack.com. And until then, we'll catch you on another episode.